Welcome to Engaging Copilot in M365. We're excited to kind of get things going and spending some time with you going through some details related to Copilot. And ideally, we're going to pull out some learning areas related to what is Copilot, how does it work, how Copilot securely fits into M365 environment, practical business use cases, and how Copilot can support everyday team workflows and productivity. As we move through this, there will be Q&A, and I know there's going to be a lot of questions. We'll be monitoring that as we go, so feel free to use the Q&A. I think the mics will be available as well if you do want to jump and use your mic as well, so there'll be opportunities to do that. I am John Ioannis. I'm the Director of Sales at Spot Solutions, so welcome. I'm also going to introduce who's going to be leading the webinar today, Tamar Hagan, our SharePoint and M365 specialist. So we'll get going here and jump right into it.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody. Just going to share my screen and we'll get started. All right, so introduction to Copilot. How do we leverage AI in our M365 environment? And what does Copilot offer us that is unique to other AI LLMs within the space? The first thing we want to talk about is just a couple terms and definitions. So SPO is going to be the standard abbreviation for SharePoint Online, which is a modern digital workspace. And we're going to be talking a lot about how Copilot interacts with SPO as well as other M365 tools. AI is artificial intelligence applications, and an agent. An agent is a specialized bot that has been trained with a particular purpose or skill set. Might be research, analytics, or other types of agents. So within your M365 environment, you have a couple different options for Copilot. Copilot Chat is Microsoft's AI chat experience for work. It is designed to help you research, summarize, create, automate, look at your content, look at everything within your M365 environment. And it provides you with several default agents that can be used to assist in developing content based on internal and external content. One of the things that's special about Copilot Chat compared to other AI tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Gronk, etc., is that Copilot lives within your M365 environment and it does not send any of your content or queries out to the world at large. So when you're focused on work-based items and having Copilot summarize your content, that stays securely within your M365 environment. Although Microsoft has trained the agents and the Copilot to perform large language model type skills and activities, it doesn't actually take any of the content that you use in your environment. So in that sense, it's a lot more secure than some other chat AI tools. The other thing is that Copilot Chat allows you to decide where it's going to look for its information. So it will either look internally in your M365 environment, or you can tell it, hey, I want you to go out into the internet and get information from the wider world and pull that in to what we're doing here. So you have that option of where your sources of information are going to come from. Copilot for SharePoint is a set of embedded AI tools within your SharePoint sites, document libraries, and site pages that allows you to have specialized ways to summarize and analyze content in your environment. And it gives you additional AI actions, including things like summarizing a very long document or creating an audio overview of what content is in a particular document. So there's a lot to look at, and we're going to be taking a look at both of these aspects of Copilot in your environment today. But we're going to start working with Copilot Chat. So people ask, what can I do with Copilot Chat? Well, you can start a new chat. So that's the traditional prompt and response threaded conversation that you can have with your AI chat feature in Copilot Chat, and it allows you to select whether the chat is going to look toward just your work resources that are stored in M365, or if you want it to look for information in the wider world through the internet, etc. Search gives us an AI-powered advanced search that looks across your entire M365 environment to provide results, including Outlook, Teams, SharePoint, OneDrive. So it takes the search that you see directly in SharePoint and applies something like that using AI tools across your entire environment, making it a lot easier to find what you're looking for. There's a library. This leverages Loop and other tools to create pages that collect informations from your chats and other resources. It takes OneNote and Loop to the next level and is available within the Copilot chat environment. And Create, which is probably one of the most exciting tools that they've brought forward for us. It allows us to dynamically create things like images, videos, infographics. It will create these tools based on AI prompts, and you can actually customize your brand colors, your criteria, and other types of information that you're working with. So it's really cool. You can set up, if you have brands set up, your brand manager can set those, and you can actually have it fully brand items that you have it create for you. One of the most important things when we're working with AI chatbots across the board is having impactful prompts. You can start with a really broad-based question or something request, but as you look at the information provided, you're going to want to clarify that information and refine it so that you get closer to a more granular result that you're looking for. So you want to consider, be specific. A prompt doesn't have to be a short sentence. It can be a significant amount of text that makes sure that the AI understands exactly what you're looking for. So be specific. Identify the tone that you want responses to be in. If you're trying to get Copilot Chat to help you develop an RFP proposal, then you want to make sure that you want this to draft a professional sounding email that summarizes X, or a professional sounding executive summary for an RFP based on these criteria, and really let it know what tone you want. Some different AIs have different sort of personalities that you can apply, and you can customize Copilot in that way. But if you specify in your prompt how you want it to respond, it's going to learn from you. And over time, it's going to automatically start to talk to you in the tones that you prefer or produce things that you prefer. And because Copilot Chat is an AI agent that is much more geared towards professional settings, it's really already geared towards producing things for you like that. Doesn't mean you can't use it in your personal life. You absolutely can. But if you're using it at work in your M365 environment, you want to be clear and refine your requirements. Copilot is going to ask you questions to get closer to what it is you're actually seeking. And you want to look at those questions and reframe and refine the requirements of what you're looking for to get where you need to go. And obviously, always review and edit and check the provided content for accuracy. One of the nice things about some of the agents that we'll work with in Copilot Chat today is that they will cite their sources so that you actually have a way to understand how accurate the information that they've put forward is. But you always need to remember that it is just a computer, and they are smart, but not necessarily clever. So you as a person can save yourself many hours in producing a document, and you'll just need to spend a little bit of time to just go through it and make sure that it reflects what you want it to reflect and that it is accurate. So when we work with agents, agents provide specialized support for your work within Copilot Chat. And they have a few default agents that we'll talk about in a little bit, but they perform specific types of activities. A researcher agent is going to go out and look for multiple sources to research a topic and produce a document for you based on that, or an output based on that. Whereas an analyst agent is going to be looking to analyze the data that you've provided and pull out trends or threads or give you more information. There are a number of additional agents that you can get for free, looking at the agents that are provided by Microsoft, and you can also train or purchase additional agents within your organization. Typically, if you are rolling Copilot chat out across your organization, those agents are available to everybody who has access to the system, but they're going to remember their chats with each individual. They're not going to, my chats with a research agent aren't going to appear in John's feeds, and his won't appear in mine. They actually act as specific conversations with that agent. Now, out of the box, we have the two default agents, the researcher agent and the analyst agent. Those are the ones that come right here within Copilot Chat automatically, and then you can add additional agents. So enough slideshow, let's actually get into looking at Copilot Chat. So to start with, how do I get there? So you can get there in a number of different ways, but if you come in to a browser window and you go to office.com, if you're not already signed in, you'll have to sign in, but once you sign in, your default landing page at office.com now is Copilot Chat. And so you're going to see start right away. You see Chat, M365 Copilot, and hi, how can I help you? Up here at the top, you're going to see that it by default is going to be focused in on your work. So that is your M365 environment that it is basically going to be acting from. I can switch that over to the web and you'll notice that it changes what it's showing me here. So I can see these different items. I can see tools. So these are different agents, including a designer agent. And I can choose to explore more agents, and I will see other agents that are available to me from my organization. Or I can say get agents, and it's going to show me, okay, these are the different agents that we have within our environment. But I can come to Microsoft and I can look for other types of agents, a survey agent, and then they have some featured ones. Now, when I come up here to a new chat, I can add content to the chat. So if I want to ask questions about specific documents or other information, I can actually just select and say, I want to pull some information. So in this case, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add a couple different documents. I'm going to open all of those files in here. So I've got all these files. So I'm asking it to provide me an overview and application specifications based on all of the information that I have provided in there. And I've got a dashboard look, an items list, training. I've got all these different components. So it's going to give me, and he says it's a concise, source-grounded overview and application. And so right here, you'll note it's going to cite each item that it's used to pull this information out of. So this is optimized application developed for a client. Here's the high level architecture. Here's my core screens and functionality overview. And it's going to continue to provide all of that information based on these different documents that might have been created by different individuals throughout this process, project. So looking at all of these different tools, here's our Power BI, what are our deliverables, scope, and then he says, hey, if this was helpful, I can convert this into a formal applications governance document, produce a one-pager, map app features, etc. So I can now go and say, yeah, I want you to do that. I can also convert the it'll give me those right here. I can say that, then that, and it's going to take that and continue to work that through. And again, what makes this important is that this does not share my proprietary information with other organizations who also have Copilot. So although Microsoft is constantly improving and training Copilot and its agents, it isn't sharing our proprietary information to do so. And so I'm getting all of this information along with key architecture alignments and sources, and I can always just copy the response. And once I've copied that response, I can put that into a Word document if I want, or I can edit it in the pages. So if I say edit in pages, it's actually going to create a page in my library with all of the information that I have pulled out of this document. And now I can actually create that as a Word document. So it's going to work on that and get a draft Word document ready. So I don't have to copy and paste. I can actually have this go ahead and do this for me automatically because it's fully integrated with all of Microsoft's features. So here is my traceability matrix between my features, Power BI dashboards, measures, and visualizations, everything that I want. And now I can save that and I can start making changes to it or work with it. You'll also notice that it automatically saved it into my OneDrive. So I don't have to worry about saving that this exists directly in my OneDrive. And if I go open my OneDrive files, I will see that new document right here. So quickly and easily take many different files, and I can also work up here with some of these where I can look at my recent pages. I can also schedule prompts. So if I want to get a summary, so if I start a new chat and I say, provide a summary of my calendar each morning, and I could schedule that prompt and set it to run each day and come back and look at that conversation. I don't have any scheduled prompts yet. I've got this prompt, and here I could look at scheduling it. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and take a look at it rather than scheduling. So it's looking for my meetings today, and it's telling me, wow, my day is really, really busy. And I've got midday heavy conflicts, my afternoon's okay, and I've got some other things. What can I do? I can't automatically send or trigger daily morning summary on my own or run in the background. How do I get this every morning? I use Copilot in Outlook to get my morning brief. So those are the basic sort of general sorts of chats that you can do right here in your main Copilot chat. When I look at Copilot search, it's looking to find content across my area. I want to note, and you have this in chat as well, there's this little start dictation and start dictation. You don't have to type out your prompts. You can actually do it conversationally. If you want to dictate your prompts with Copilot, you can just do it that way and just talk it through. So here I can say, I'm looking for And so it's going to go and look through that and showing me who that is. In this case, it's all coming out of Outlook because I asked for emails, but then there's also a document associated with that. Edited this document that was sent in an area. So I can get all of that information and I can search across all of these areas and I can set any filters that I want. So I can look for specific types of content. I can look for specific people. I can set a date range. And in this case, I'm looking at all results, but I could say I got 561 results in Outlook, 228 in Viva, 68 in Teams. So I can actually filter on any of those sources for my information. I do want to point out here that this send feedback is to Microsoft. So that is the only connection is, hey, I like it. Hey, I don't, thumbs up, thumbs down. Now here in my library, I can look at, I created this page today and I created this page a while ago on February 20th. So if I click on that, that's where I said, okay, create a page for me, and it's leveraging Loop. So I can open my chat if I want, and I can also open the status bar here. But from this page that I've created, I can then, of course, create a document, a presentation, or a PDF, and I can share that with others in my organization, or I can add it to a OneNote notebook. So my library contains pages as well as images that I have created. So anything that I've done in the past or future, I can see right here. So I've got this drawing, I've got some, this was I did for the holidays to create a holiday background that included all of the holidays that happen in December. So I've got that here. And so everything you create that way is saved in your library. And your library is, again, custom to you. So everybody else isn't going to have access to the content you create unless you share it with them. And you always have that ability to choose to share. Now here, this is one of the most fun pieces to me that you have. So I can come in here and I can create an image. And that's where I've got brand colors. So here I've got Spot Solutions brand colors, and I can choose those for what I'm making. They've got some basic ones here. And if you don't have any organizational brand colors yet, someone in your organization can be designated as the brand manager, and they can come in and create brand kits that use your colors, logos, and other types of things. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come in and design an infographic. I'm going to use my Spot Solutions item, and I'm going to add content. I'm going to upload a file, and I'm going to upload the statistics for BC's homelessness. And this is a really simple Word document. It just has a bunch of details in it. So if I look at that, here you'll see it's just some key stats. It's not very fun to look at, but it's got its sources. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. So this is going to build an infographic for me. And here I've got my different options. So it's working on doing this. It's currently transforming with AI. But once once it's been created, I can edit it. I can get some additional AI suggestions or make changes. I can change the branding, add text, upload additional media or visuals, mark it up, look at the layers. So I have a lot of ability to work with this image that it's going to create. Because I asked it to create an infographic specifically, not just an image, all infographics are images, not all images are infographics. So by specifying what I wanted it to create, it basically takes that and starts to put that into a format that makes the most sense for the content that I have. And of course, I've got the ability to download and also to copy as an image. So I can take this and work with it. Over here, I can duplicate this page, or I can add a new page if I want to add additional infographics. Right now, there are no changes to save. It hasn't been fully done, but again, it's going to save this automatically for me in my library. So here is our infographic using the Spot branded color schemes. And you see it's okay, here's all the individuals, here's where we're at in Metro Vancouver. Here are the key drivers, demographics, etc. So we've got all of this together, and I can like that. And here, so if I want to submit some feedback, I can capture a screenshot and submit feedback to Microsoft. So that helps Microsoft to improve Copilot without necessarily giving them the content that I have. So here I can choose to capture a screenshot of the infographic that I made and provide feedback to Microsoft, but I don't have to. I can just say, hey, I really liked how quickly it pulled this stuff together, or whatever you want to do. Now up here, I can change that to and it's automatically going to update the name. And here I've got the items. Do I want to add a brand? Do I want to, add a logo? So now I've got a logo here, and I could try to see where I wanted to fit my logo in, turn it around, or I could remove it, and I can start to work with or edit that, add additional images, add another page, resize the whole piece. So I could resize it so that it's a PowerPoint cover, and it's going to resize that. So instead of spending all my time generating the initial document, I can actually, and of course I don't love it like this because that doesn't show as well. So I'm going to go back to page 1, but that gives me another page that I can look at, and I can view that selected page and see it that way. So I can work with all of these items as I'm creating. And when I'm done, I'm just going to go back to create. And so my infographics are going to show up in create right here. I'll be able to see all the different infographics that I have created over time, and I can explore those. Or go back to create. So that was creating an infographic. I can also create a video, design a poster. So a video, for example, if I want to add a file, I'm actually just going to drag and drop it instead of uploading it. So in this case, I'm going to add metadata. Oops, did that automatically open it? And sorry, everybody, I've got a bit of a cold today, but that's no worries. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to choose this metadata training presentation. I'm going to select that. I'm going to say create a video from this document and use a female voice or narration. So it's actually going to take the PowerPoint presentation that I have provided it, and it's going to create an entire video as well as actually add voiceover narration for it. Now, I can also, it takes a little bit of time for it to produce it, which is why I haven't done it yet here on this call, but what I have tested it out, I can put a PowerPoint in as well as a screen recording of a demo, and I can say, okay, create a video from this PowerPoint, and on the slide where it says live demo, insert the screen recording, then continue with the PowerPoint. Now it takes a little bit longer. Typically it took about almost a half hour for it to fully produce that video, which is why I'm not doing that here in this this setting with you guys, but it absolutely kind of touches in on all of those things. It allows us to collect the media. And by default, the first time I created a video using Copilot Create, it had a male British voice narrating. I went and redid it and said, okay, give me a female voice, and it absolutely did. So you actually can sort of specify tone and type. So right here, it gives me a transcript, and I can edit this transcript to change anything I want. And I've got my video. And so it's basically going to go through this entire video. It shows me how long each section of the video is. I can load it to wherever I want to within. I can look at the transcript, and I can also make any adjustments to it. Right now, the voice is Emma. I have Ava, Andrew, and so you'll note that they give us a little bit about what those people are. So Emma is cheerful, light-hearted, and casual. Ava is pleasant, friendly. Andrew, confident, casual, warm. Davis, soothing. And Fable, measured, spirited, and quick. So I can choose any of those voices to be the voiceover for this video that I'm creating. I can also look at my brand colors and say, okay, I want the spot solutions, and it's going to start to go through that and update this presentation based on, and it's replacing media. So it's going to update that based on my brand and theme from whatever brand I've chosen. And it's going to take a little bit of time to do that. And I can also add background music if I want to. In this case, it didn't add it initially. It just has my voice. And so Emma's redoing her conversation while it's setting up my brand color. And there we go. So now if I go back to the beginning, it's made a couple different replacements. Now, this particular PowerPoint presentation was already partly branded for Spot Solutions anyway, so it didn't have to adjust too much. When I look at Transform, this is where I can say what's the tone. So not just the voice that I've chosen, but also what's the general tone for this video. So I could change it to an adventurous tone and then regenerate that video, and it would give me a new, pardon me, a new overview based on that. And so it's selecting tone and style because I've chosen to make changes to that. Otherwise, it will look at the content and make its best guess based on the types of things you've done before. It's important to remember that over time, Copilot Chat, like any AI tool that you're using, is going to start to get to know your preferences and is going to start to default to those preferences for you based on how you work and sort of where you work and what you do. So now it's replaced the media, it's got this, and I can export and share or open it in Clipchamp. If I want to export and share, it's going to pull that up, and it's, telling me it's going to take about a minute and a bit to do that. So I'm not actually going to worry about sharing that right now. That media is available to me in my videos. And again, that's going to have put it directly into OneDrive. And here are the different, there's my SharePoint understanding, and the first one and the second one. So it doesn't get rid of the initial one that it created. It just gives me, okay, you wanted me to regenerate that with a different tone or different information. You absolutely can. Down here, if you don't know exactly what you want to do, you can actually go, oh, I want to create it from scratch. I want to create it from a presentation, a Word document, whatever. Now, obviously, when you create it from a presentation, a PowerPoint, that's going to be pretty easy, and it's going to come fairly quickly because it's already laid out in a video-friendly format. But when you start from a document or a PDF, it's going to do that work for you as well. It's still going to take all of that content and build a video for you. When we look at create a story, this is, tips for best performance or any of that sort of stuff. So you can actually create a file to onboarding story, right? Capture key points, attach the file, make it a different thing. So if you wanted to have a document for your employees that was all about, here's how we want you to manage your time efficiently or structure meetings, you can do that and build that out. And again, you've got different styles that you can work with. You can decide what the format of it is going to be, what your brand is going to be, and you can add one or more different files to help do that. And then when you look at posters, it's the difference between a poster and an image really just comes down to the idea that the poster is intended to sort of share some information or do some different thing as a promotional material. Whereas when I create an image, it's going to be looking at images that are specific. So I did this one previously, and I did this one. So images, it's going to be looking at a little bit more about just creating a picture, not creating a poster style picture or an infographic style picture. So when I want to look at that, I can say, okay, what style do I want? So that was a scribble sketch that you saw previously. I'm going to go with pixel art. And I'm going to say, so I'm getting specific here. I want a picture of downtown Vancouver with the sun tower in the background in this pixel art style. And again, it's got its style. I haven't chosen a brand theme because in this case, the image shouldn't be branded. And AI is just going to work through that. And again, I'm going to have all of those same editing tools and features that I had with an infographic or something else like that. And I'm going to be able to see those as I'm working in and adding those. So I can make markups, I can change the layers, and I can get a lot further, a lot faster to generating images that are going to work internally within my own SharePoint or my own corporate environment, as well as images that I can then use for promotional materials, brochures, infographics, etc. And so I was curious to see what a pixel art Vancouver Sun Tower was going to look like. And wow, they actually do, and the mountains in the background and the clouds. And you can kind of see how it doesn't have to necessarily be part of your organization in order for it to be able to pull that data. So obviously I don't have a picture of the Sun Tower, but I'm asking it to create an image. So it's pulling that out because I didn't provide it with a specific place. So when you're in Create, you have a lot of options. Before we move on to agents, I want to just check and see if there are any questions, if there's anything anybody would like to ask about or talk about. Is there anything in QA right now?
Yeah, QA is good. There's nothing there at the moment. Thanks, Tamara.
All right, sounds good. I just can't see it while I'm talking, so I wanted to make sure. All right, so that's sort of what you can do with the default features here in chat. I want to talk now about agents. So the first agent we're going to talk about is researcher. So I can come here and I can decide which sources it's allowed to use. So in this case, my researcher is using both the web and my M365 to provide the information that I want. If I want them to focus just on content that I have here in my organization, I can simply toggle off the web. And so it'll say, okay, it's only going to look at Microsoft 365, Power BI, Engage, Learning, and that's it. And I can, check more. In this case, I'm going to leave it for the web because what I want it to research today is I want it to provide best practices for kitchen safety. I'm going to say, go ahead and do that for me. So he's like, okay, I've got that, but now I want to understand. So I want to make sure the request is tailored to you. What are you looking for? So first off, you choose your report length. For the purposes of time here today, I'm going to go with short because it can take a while. If you say 5 or more pages of research, it's going to get exhaustive. It's going to start looking through all kinds of stuff. So, and then are you looking for general kitchen safety practices, professional kitchen? This should be a resource for employees in a commercial grade kitchen for both food and personal safety. And again, I'm allowing all sources and I'm going to start. So now that I've set how exhaustive I want this to be between 1 and 5 pages, it's going to be beginning its search. And if I expand this, it's actually going to show me everywhere that it's going. So mapping best practices, crafting a practical guide, organizing safety tips, mapping out safety strategies. And I've done one before. I was doing health and safety guidelines for the workplace, and it actually went out and started pulling the British Columbia WorkSafe BC rules, the Canadian federal guidelines, all that sort of stuff. So here, Good Food article is extensive. I'm evaluating it. So again, it's going to give me cite all of the sources for where it got the information that it's looking for. I don't have to see all of these different things, but this just lets me see what the researcher is actually doing to produce this document for me. And I can start to get some different ideas about where he's looking, what he's looking. I'm focusing on hand washing. I'm piecing together options, considering gloves most in cleaning or cooking. And so it's going to go through all of this process and produce for me a document. And it still takes a little while. Like it's not going to be done in 2 seconds. It has to go out and find this information, but it's a lot faster at finding this information through these different sources than you or I might be. And it has the opportunity to search in some ways that a lot of people don't. I can't just go and pull that through an algorithm in the same way. I actually have to think it through, go to Google, search for locations, or know what companies or standard bodies that I want to do that from. So it does all of this stuff for us, and then it's going to produce for us and it does say at the bottom, AI generated content may be incorrect. That is always one of those pieces. You always have to kind of understand that is, which is why one of the big things is once it's finished, look at the content and do a review and make appropriate adjustments as needed. It's also really important to remember that the final end product is yours to play with. Just because this is what AI came up with, you may decide, you know what, I'm going to get rid of some of that stuff. I don't think it's necessary. I just want to, cut out some, but it gives you a whole bunch of different ways that you can look at the information that you're doing. And you can also stop generating if you want it to stop. And again, you can start this by dictation. So you don't actually have to type something out. You could simply tell it what you wanted and have it do that. And so that's here in the chats. I can search my chats for those different pieces, and I can see the different conversations that I've had with the various general chat, with a specific chat bot, and all of those items. Now it's going to continue to do that. Even if I go somewhere else, I can come back. You'll notice that that is bolded. That's letting me know it's still working. So while your chat is bold, the agent that is generating that information is still actively working on whatever it is that you've asked it to do. Now, when I look at the analyst here, he's like, what kind of data do you want me to analyze? And how can you, what kind of data do you want me to analyze? And how can you go ahead and get those insights, find out trends. Well, this looks like it's just about done, so it's here. Where are we at? So it's going through, and it's going through that process, and it will take a while. So I probably won't get to see the final output today, but it's there, and it's basically creating this document. Well, I'll see it today. I don't know if you guys will, but it's going through, it's got its checklists, and it's creating that that content for me. That output is going to look like, oh, there we are. That output is going to look like, I think this is the one that it produced. No, that's not. I had it produce. There we go. So now we've got it. We've got all of our content. It's finished, and I can say convert that to Word for me, and it's giving me my sources. So it's going to cite its source for each of the items that it did, which is really helpful in making sure that you're comfortable. So it's, when I open it here, it's in, it's going to open the Copilot chat panel right in my application where I've started all this stuff. And now I've got my, okay, here's some highlights. Here's all of the content that it's developed along with its citing of resources or sources. And then I can add a source citation to the end of the document. And now I'm using Copilot Chat in Microsoft Word, and it's going to do that here inside my Word document. So it's added sources, a sources section. So if I come down, here are the sources, and it's giving me each of the sources that it checked for that. So now I've got my citation, and I'm going to keep that edit. And I have this automatically saved. And again, it's automatically saved into my documents as best practices for kitchen safety. Now, the only downside is it does just put it into your main area. So you may decide, okay, now I'm going to take that and I'm going to move it into the appropriate folder or location, but it does just give you everything right away in your OneDrive. And I'm happy with that, so I'm going to go ahead and close that, and I can close that. And here's also where it's showing me in the researcher chat the specific citations of sources that it used in order to develop this information. Now, if I go to an analyst and I can say, you know, oh, what are some quick insights from the data of uploaded files, or create a table with the volume of planets. I don't know. I don't care about that particular prompt because I'm not worrying about planets, but I can come in and I can analyze information. So if I have some just regular details, so I might come in here and I might say, let's take that one and that one. And say, it's going to look at those pieces of content and it's going to analyze them and take a look at them. And so this will work very similarly to to the way the researcher does, except that it's actually coding and executing. This is basically creating tables or analytics of this content. So I don't do code in Python. That's not my thing. It's going to do that for me in order to give those highlights in a visual way, because I believe that I had selected, yep, and it's pulling that all together, improving findability. And it's kind of finalizing the summary, and it's pulling all that stuff together, and here it goes. So it's giving me the key insights for each of these that I've attached. And because the documents really didn't have anything together, now it's looking at what are the combined strategic responses, and would you like me to transform these into a proposal executive summary, do a compliant response to an individual forms, create a project outline, whatever you want to do. So that's sort of the analytics. It's going to pull that out, and then it's going to try to do strategic planning, other analytic-based tools. There's also, you can also click on new agents to look for a new agent, or go to the agent store and find agents that you want to use. In terms of notebooks, all my notebooks. So let's give you your first notebook a name. And it's going to create that for me. So I can actually create a notebook where I start to save the content that I am creating from different responses. So tell Copilot how to respond in this notebook. Now, this is tailoring responses, so I can actually customize how I want Copilot to talk to me, how to act, and I can start to add references based on this. Next, chat with Copilot about your references in this notebook, right? I can then put some references in and start talking about things, and I can actually tell Copilot how I want them to respond. So give me bullet points summarizing information. I want paragraphs written in a professional way. I want, you know, whatever it is that I want that notebook to collect, and then I can collect that information in my notebooks. And so I can do that for various projects. So I might have a notebook for each project that I'm running or for different tailored training programs that I'm delivering. And I can actually work with Copilot in here as well as share that with my coworkers so that we can work together and collaborate. But we can let Copilot do some of the heavy lifting on pulling together the resources that we have or on giving us a little bit more. So this is Copilot Chat. I do want to get a chance to look at Copilot in SharePoint Online. So I want to just open it up if there are any questions now or if we're ready to move on to the next bit.
It's clear at the moment, no questions, so feel free to keep rolling.
All right. So when you're working with Copilot directly in SPO, what does that look like? So within a list or a library, well, within a document library, Copilot in SharePoint allows us to summarize a large document into a small bit, create an FAQ from a file based on a selected document, create an audio overview, so an actual voice giving an overview of what is in that content, ask a question about the content and get a chat response back and forth, or compare files. So if you have multiple files, it will allow you to compare them together. So first you need to get to SharePoint, and if you went to M365 or office.com and you signed in, you're here at Copilot Chat, but right here are your apps. And so if you click on your app, you can go to SharePoint Online. So I'm going to go to my spot on communication site in SharePoint Online in order to get started. And actually, I'm going to come over here and take a look at information in this document library. So I'm going to look at all my documents in this document library. And so here's one. I can select that, and I see that I have AI actions. So if I ask it to summarize, it's actually going to generate a summary of this document. So there's the information about this retrospective, what went well, what didn't. I've got everything that I can, and I can ask a question about any of this information and get an additional response, or I can copy this if I want to put that summary into another document, into a site page, or into another location. Then in addition to that, I can create an FAQ or that audio overview, ask it a direct question, or it gives me this create agent. If it says create agent, right now that agent is going to be only responding to this document. So, you know, I don't have a purpose for it. I would probably want to have an agent that had more sources, so I could add additional sources to the agent. In this case, I'm going to cancel. I'm not going to create an agent here. But I could create an agent within the library. Now, if I have two files selected, my AI actions change. I now have the ability to summarize both files, or I can compare them. So if I'm not sure which two versions of a document, or there's two documents that have a really similar name, they might seem to be a similar subject, rather than having to read through them and figure it out, I can compare them and have AI tell me what's the same and what's different about them.
Hey, Tamara, a question
Yes.
popped in, and I'm just going to share that with you from Levi. I do know we're getting a couple minutes close to 11. Hopefully those can stay on with us. But the question from Levi is, do you know if Microsoft plans SharePoint targeting for Copilot so you can only have search available for a small number of sites in your tenant?
Yes, it is possible to configure that in the back end in the admin center. So when you're implementing your Copilot, you can do that. And you can also have agents by clicking up here. You can have an agent at a specific site. So I have a spot on communication agent that will summarize key information only from this site. So yes, that is possible. I'm going to stop sharing now because we are coming to the end of our time together. But there are a lot of things that we can do, and we'd love to answer any additional questions. So in SPO, most of the Copilot tools are included with your licensing, but for some Copilot chat, there is a full Copilot license that would be needed. So I believe everybody has Copilot, just the chat feature, but the ability to create and use some of those agents does require licensing, but Copilot in SharePoint is just included. So the AI actions are just included.
Any other questions? I know we're up at 11 o'clock here. If you have more questions, you can shoot a note to info@spotsolutions.com or to me, john.ewanis@spotsolutions.com. I put a fair bit
We've
of
still
information
got a
in the
half
chat.
hour in the meeting, John. We went an hour and a half for this webinar.
We did. Okay. All right. My mistake then. There's lots of time.
Yes,
Well, let
lots
me
of time.
let me share some content here on my end. I've been filling the chat up as tomorrow has gone along there. So I did mention that the recording of the webinar today will be available. We'll send that in the next couple of days following today. So as I mentioned, you can kind of follow the links there and it'll be posted. I'll also follow up everyone individually as well after this about some more content. The other piece I wanted to mention, when you join our webinars, we always offer 1 hour free consult with our analysts. So if there are topics that you want to dig deeper about Copilot, we can help you, and we're offering that. So if you can fill out that quick form, we'll reach out to you and we can dig it deeper. We do also have other ways we can help you too. I mean, there's lots of training. Spot Solutions has an intro to Copilot. So if you want to train up some of your team members, we can do that. And another thing I did want to mention too is this is kind of a two-part webinar series. So for those who are a bit familiar with Copilot and AI, there's a second piece, what we're calling our Boost Productivity with Copilot and Power Platform. Obviously, in Power Platform does allow you to kind of build the low-code, no-code tools with customizing apps. So what we want to do in this particular webinar is kind of dig into how we can use AI to help develop that and streamline, faster, smarter apps. So that's going to be a really fun one. It is open to those who aren't familiar with Power Apps and those who are familiar. So it's going to be a great one. So I will send information on that. So it does kind of dovetail quite nicely with today. So I will take a quick peek here. But yeah, any other questions? I know Craig, you had a question, but I think we addressed that regarding licensing. Now's your time to throw some questions in there.
Yeah, and I should say there are add-in licenses to your existing licenses to extend what you've already got. So you can have just your regular M365. Maybe you've got people who are on a business basic, for example, but you want to give them a bit more of the Copilot tools and features. You can add on that Copilot piece that is missing if it is missing. And Copilot does work for a number of different things as well. So for example, if you do decide down the road that you do want to get the full Copilot license for your organization, that will automatically give you Copilot in Microsoft Teams as well, which gives you Copilot chat in your Microsoft Teams meetings, as well as gives you AI information from recorded sessions and transcripts. So when you're in here, there's also another another item. So when you're in here, you've got your AI creation and shortcuts. You also have, if you don't have the full AI, there's also extract, right? So you can also select an item. Typically, PDFs are the ones that you might want to do that, but you can actually have AI extract information from the specific tool that you're using. But if I use it in the document library, mostly it's these kinds of AI actions. But when I go here at the organization or the site level and I load, can open my here and I can say I want find all files that have reference to projects. And so it's going to look through all of that my spot on communications agent is sorry, made at this site is going to pull that information based on that. So here it's showing me, okay, the RFP conflict of interest and this management. And then it asks me, do you want me to search inside of the document's text? And I don't know why I say things like please, but I guess I feel like treating Copilot like a nice guy. I will say please and thank you to him and let him go. Yes, and let me show you an example of that. I know we're mostly talking about it in SharePoint, but I do think that there is some really, really useful tools there. So if I go, I'm looking for meetings. Not that one.
A question did come up
So
here from Shane. I don't know if you saw that, tomorrow. Transcripts from Teams
yeah,
meetings, training sessions are very handy for creating summaries of the training sessions, which I can then create shorter training sessions from. So just a comment there.
exactly. So this is an example of that. This is our weekly staff meeting. We record it each time, and this is because I have my Copilot here. This is the AI summary. So you'll always get a transcript just like this, but the AI summary actually gives you a full generated summary. I can expand and see all of the details. So it'll go, hey, this project updates, these were who spoke, these are the different things, these are the images. So it gives me like a really useful, and then it also gives you an AI summary of follow-up tasks based on the content of that meeting. So it goes beyond just a standard transcript. It gives you a nice summary. I can also create a custom summary if I want to create a template based on that. And it will show me where at mentions have been made and any notes, right? So the AI summary is pretty incredible. And that happens automatically if you have Copilot available to you and you have recorded a meeting. It doesn't just give you that though, it also then lets you see the video recording based on who's talking. So if I'm like, I need to remember what Sue said toward the end, I can click on that little bubble and this is where she's talking about something that she's looking at right there. I can see all 10 speakers and where they spoke. Clearly, Cy was talking the most in this meeting. And so I can flip to that particular point based on speakers, or I can do, there weren't any topics. So in this case, they didn't do any topics and there weren't any chapters. This is a 15-minute meeting, so it doesn't typically end up that way. But in larger meetings, it will actually break that up by topics that were discussed when a topic changes, etc. So that's an example, and it gives you an audio recap. And I could watch it in the browser. So it gives you a lot out of your integrated tools. OneDrive, SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, they're all fully integrated. And because Copilot is Microsoft M365, it's fully integrated with them as well. And so it can really start to bring tremendous amount of value to what you're looking at. All right, so here, this is finished. When I asked it to look inside documents, it's searched the text and it's pulled out references to project or projects. And so we've got these 3 different documents, which are project work instruction templates, project management email that came, ebooks. So it's actually pulled out all kinds of information. It's given me a full summary of all the documents that are related to projects, which is what I asked it to do. And then it says, hey, do you want me to narrow this down further? Do you want to ask another question to get more specific on what it is you're actually trying to look at or actually trying to do inside this document library? And that extends as well to lists. So if I go and take a look at a list. So I've got this list. I can select an item, and under my automate, I can take a look and see any information. Now, in this case, there's not any fields in here that AI is going to be able to do anything with. It can't create or transform it. So it's not going to provide me with a specific tool like it did when I was looking at a document in terms of summarizing, etc., because it's just a list item. But it will allow me to pull information from these lists that are on my site based on the agent that I have working within this space. And I can kind of look at the different areas that I'm working in and kind of see that information and see all of this. And so here, I can see dates and times and other sorts of events. So in SharePoint, it's mostly used for comparing documents, summarizing. If you do work in an environment where you have individuals that have visual impairments, the ability to create an audio summary of a document that you can share with others or put in there is incredibly important, because that allows you to provide that accessibility really quickly without having to spend a lot of time or money on it, simply letting AI go ahead and do that. And an individual can go and choose and go, okay, I want you to give me that. So when I look at that, generate an audio overview, it's going to work down here. It might take a few minutes. It's going to generate that. And once it's ready, the play, stop, move forward, and go back features are going to be available for me to use as well. And I can leverage that. And again, I can set my agents for a particular style or voice. So in this case, I use the default. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to reshare, including sound, so you guys can hear.
Point online, drawing from the document titled Module 3, Lists and Libraries. Today, I will outline how lists and libraries serve as foundational elements in your SharePoint environment. And
so as you can see, you can get that straight quickly. I can make it go faster or slower. I can save this directly, or I can switch to podcast style. So when we look at that, it's going to take a minute or two to switch us over to podcast style. And that's going to give us another way to listen to that same content. So you have a lot of tools that can really help you to better utilize or better leverage the content that you have and the information that you have within your system, as well as being able to leverage multiple resources, both internal and external. And like I say, on the back end in the admin center, you can choose to limit where Copilot has access. One more thing that's really, really important, not my sneeze, I'm sorry, is that Copilot respects permissions. Okay, so even though Copilot Chat is looking at content in your M365 environment, if Tamara Hegan doesn't have permission to a particular document or a document library, Copilot will not surface the information contained there in any of my chats or in any of the work that I'm doing with Copilot. It's fully secured and respects all of the security and permissions policies that you guys have put in place.
Welcome to our focused overview on navigating SharePoint Online, specifically highlighting the lists and libraries function. Today, we'll examine a
So you kind of see how that's changed the style of how that person is talking to me by saying, I want it more podcast style, less informal style. It really changed the way that they did that. And it sort of added that good morning and some of those components. So you really have a lot of options when you're working with Copilot in SharePoint Online, as well as if you're working with Copilot Chat. And like I said, to get to Copilot Chat, actually, and let's do that. To get to Copilot Chat, you're just going to, so if you don't go to office.com, if you're just in your SharePoint environment and you want to get to Copilot, you can click right here and just click on Copilot, and it's going to open that up for you. And again, all of your historical chats are saved. So here's new activity. I'm going to go to that conversation. And it's saying, okay, it's produced that for me. And it's just letting me know, hey, that conversation is the most recent one that you've had. And I can go back up to new chats. So there's a ton of stuff that you can do in the future. So I am using Copilot Premium. There are also basic Copilot for business. So you do have a lot of different layers or how much you need the tools to use. The last couple pieces I'll show you is right now, I've got mine on auto, so my chat decides based on my prompts if it's going to give me a fast response or if it's going to take more time to pull out its response. You can choose that and say, look, I just want quick answers, or hey, I need you to take long time to think about it. And there's sort of different quick responses levels. And then up here, I can also do a temporary chat, which is basically an incognito chat that isn't going to be logged within my history of chats. So if for some reason I wanted to do a chat that I didn't want to be here, that can sometimes happen. I do know of an organization where they didn't get everybody Copilot licenses. Instead, they got one generic Copilot license for the service team, and everybody on the service team could log in and use that same chat. And thus you are starting to share prompts if you do that way. And so having the option of a temporary chat allows you to have a chat that's not part of the history that everybody else is going to be a part of, especially if you're doing something that you feel would be more confidential. And then right here is showing the enterprise data connection protection is applied to this chat. So again, this content isn't going out anywhere else. I can see my recent items and I can also see my settings. So in my settings, I've got some, do I want to share links? And I can also personalize. So this is where I can personalize my instructions for how my preference to the way that Copilot responds to me. And I can tell him, like, I want you to talk to me in a friendly way. I want you to talk to me like a professor. I want, whatever I want from that. I can edit those instructions, give honest feedback, use clear, simple language, prioritize my manager. So those are some of the ones that they came up to use, but I can add just free text to say what I want that to be. And I can also look at my work profile. So it's personalized experience to review my work profile. I would go to my work profile and then update that information. And save memories. So I do save memories. This allows Copilot to remember details provided to provide better responses. What does that mean? That means that each time I have a conversation with Copilot Chat and I look at it and I refine it, it's remembering that I did that, and it's looking back to those types of things to say that's the sort of behavior that this individual likes. So it's learning from me how I want to be communicated with. So at this point, we've got about 12 minutes. Are there any questions, or is there anything you guys would like me to look at? And so this was just for that one. This was my prompt: create an image that combines the imagery of Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and solstice. And I got that for my background over the holiday season.
No other questions at the moment? All right, there was a little ways ago from Anna. Can you talk a bit more about Copilot and compliance with PIPA and data protection?
Yes, so Copilot is fully integrated into M365. It uses enterprise protection. So if you are using Purview, if you're setting any data loss prevention or sensitivity labels, those will be read by Copilot. And like I said, Copilot fully respects permissions. So it fully respects permissions and restrictions. So if there's content that isn't to be used in certain ways, or if it's been flagged as sensitive, it's going to note that, and it may or may not, depending on your role in the organization, even allow you to leverage that as a source, or it will apply sensitivity labels to it if it uses anything like that. Because it's not allowing it, it's automatically saving content to your OneDrive. It will apply that sensitivity label, assuming that Purview sensitivity labels have been assigned to SharePoint, Outlook, OneDrive, etc. So that is respected within how Copilot works.
Any other questions? Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Looks like we're coming to a close here. I'll just thanks, Tamara. That was great. I appreciate that. We obviously covered a lot of different topics. And I do know, as I mentioned in the chat, we're going to move on to a second piece of Copilot and AI related to Power Platform. So please join us for that. I think that'll be a great kind of second piece to what we're doing today here. So that'll be April 16th. So we've got lots of time for that. I think I'm just double checking another
That's okay.
question.
We're
Okay,
good.
you good? Okay. Yeah, so as I said earlier, you'll have access to the recordings. For those of you who had to drop off early, or employees who could make it, staff who could make it, we will post the recording of this as well. And as well, if you want to spend some time with us, digging in a little deeper with your organization and company about Copilot, we can provide that 1 hour free consult. So I will follow up with you after, but thanks for your time. I really do appreciate this, and I look forward to seeing you very soon in our next webinar.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.